Let's bring into this conversation NBC's Pentagon correspondent Courtney Kube with more on the news that everyone is digesting, everyone on Twitter, not those of us staring into a camera, learning about a number of Trump loyalists and folks that are very well known probably to frequent viewers of Fox News. Former Devin Nunes staffer Kash Patel taking on a powerful position. Anthony Tata, who I think Claire referred to earlier, taking on an important position. And an individual who used to work for Mike Flynn, Ezra Cohen Watnick, taking on jobs. What do all these people have in common, and why are they being installed after Trump's defeat?
So one thing they all have in common is that they are loyal to President Trump and they are loyal to the administration. I think that the big question that everyone is trying to figure out right now is exactly why are they being installed there? Is there some common thread, some policy, or something that they all have an agenda on that they could be bringing, the administration could be bringing them into the Pentagon so that they can push some agenda item or items in the last 70 days of this administration. It's not really clear on what that is right now. You mentioned that, you know, these individuals are coming in, but we're also seeing the departure of James Anderson, who was the Undersecretary of Defense, acting Undersecretary of Defense for Policy, and of Joe Kernan, retired Navy SEAL, well respected in the intelligence community, who was Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence. And they're being replaced by these Trump loyalists. So this just raises the alarm bells to another level from where it was yesterday at the Pentagon. After the surprise tweet that Secretary Esper was being terminated immediately, which again, Nicole, that was a surprise, both to Secretary Esper and to the senior leaders in the Pentagon. They were not expecting it. Then Secretary Esper himself only found out right before the president tweeted it. But after that surprise tweet, there was a sense of, okay, what's next? What else could be disrupted? And I think that what we've seen today in these personnel changes is the beginning of that move. And again, the big question is there going to be some attempt here to use these Trump loyalists to push through policy items and agendas that they have not been able to do during the 3.5 years of the Trump administration so far?
Well, could it be not something proactive, but something protective? I mean, could it be that he is setting up a constitutional crisis? He had the Secretary of State from the State Department podium today say he's preparing for a second Trump term. I mean, what else could the Pentagon do for a president who refuses to accept the results of an election?
It could have something to do with that. I mean, where my head is going with it on this right now is other more DOD and national security related items that perhaps people who were still at the Pentagon after Secretary Esper left, they would push back on. Someone like General Milley, even the Deputy Secretary of Defense, David Norquist, things that they might push back on that we know that they have throughout their time here have given guidance against the president's wishes, including pulling all troops out of Afghanistan. We know President Trump tweeted only a couple weeks ago he wants them all out by Christmas. Is that an agenda item that they'd want to push through? We've seen, we know that Kash Patel met with Assad not long ago in Syria. Is there some Syria agenda item here? Does it even potentially have something to do with the border? And again, another common thread here is Iran. We know that these are individuals who have very strong feelings about the Iranian regime. Is there something that would happen here? The other question, I mean, we have a lot of question marks tonight about what could potentially happen here. And another one is, candidly, is Chris Miller, who took over as the acting Secretary of Defense just yesterday. He has a long career in special operations and special forces. I spoke with a number of people who know him well, who served with him in the military over the last 24 hours or so, and he's well respected. But the big question is he someone who would forcefully push back on President Trump, and potentially these new individuals who've come into the Pentagon, who are coming into the Pentagon, would he push back if they are trying to make radical changes in these last 70 days? Yesterday, after the Secretary Esper was terminated, defense officials assured me that, in fact, Miller had addressed senior staff already and said, look, I'm not planning any wide-scale, large changes. We're going to keep the mission going. We're going to keep the trains running as they have been. But now, with all these other potential influencers there working in the Pentagon, could that change?
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.